back at it again in Philadelphia, and there's just something about seeing the Eagles back on the field that sparks a different kind of energy. With the defense of the Super Bowl 59 title already in motion, the team kicked off their offseason with organized team activities. Sure, they're technically voluntary, but anyone who's followed this team knows that nothing about this stage of the season is really casual. It's when early impressions are made, when coaches start tinkering with personnel, and when storylines start to unfold, storylines that can shape an entire season. And speaking of shaping narratives, this OTA session came with the added backdrop of a rainy day in Philly. No problem for this group though, as practice moved indoors into the team's training bubble, which by the way just got a significant upgrade. Inside now stands a brand new mural that stretches proudly across the wall, honoring the franchise's proudest moments, Super Bowl 52. Where the Eagles toppled Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and of course the most recent domination in New Orleans, where they steamrolled the Kansas City Chiefs for another Lombardi trophy. That mural isn't just decoration, it's a declaration. It sets the tone for the entire season. Every time a player walks in for practice, they're reminded of the legacy they represent. They're reminded of what this franchise is built on: grit, resilience, and championships. You think back to the long and storied history of this team and realize just how special those moments are. Long before the term Super Bowl was even a thing, the Eagles handed Vince Lombardi the only playoff loss of his coaching career back in 1960, winning the NFL championship. That legacy runs deep. Fast forward to the modern era, they take down the Patriots dynasty on football's biggest stage, then come back and dismantle Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in one of the most dominant Super Bowl performances in recent memory. That's not just history, that's the standard. Now, as much as this time of year is about setting the tone, it's also about noticing who's there and who's not. Voluntary or not, absence speaks volumes, especially when it comes from players who have questions hanging over their heads. 5 names stood out among those who didn't show up: Devonta Smith, Lane Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Avery Williams, and Bryce Huff. For Smith, Johnson, and Blankenship, there's really no cause for alarm. These guys are proven. Lane Johnson has been a cornerstone of the offensive line for over a decade. Smith has already proven himself to be a reliable number 2 alongside A.J. Brown. And Blankenship, while still early in his career, has earned the trust of the coaching staff. There's even footage from just days ago of him participating in team activities. So for those 3, chalk it up to veteran discretion or a scheduled day off. Avery Williams, though, raised a few more eyebrows. A recent addition to the team, he's expected to be one of those do-it-all offensive pieces. A gadget player who can handle punt and kick return duties and potentially line up in creative offensive sets. Not seeing him in action, especially this early, is a missed opportunity to evaluate how the coaching staff plans to deploy him. But again, nothing alarming yet. Then there's Bryce Huff. And this is where things get interesting. Huff signed a deal with $34 million guaranteed in free agency. That's serious money. But after the midway point last season, he virtually disappeared. He was phased out of Vic Fangio's defensive rotation, became an afterthought in big moments, and ultimately was a healthy scratch in the freaking Super Bowl. When a guy with that kind of contract and that kind of recent fall off skips OTAs, it's going to spark speculation. Is he unhappy with his role? Is there a trade in the works? Are the Eagles trying to quietly move on? This is how things start. Last year, it was James Bradbury who skipped OTAs. He showed up to camp, but never played another snap. His exit felt inevitable in hindsight. Could Huff be next? It's absolutely something to watch. Injuries are another storyline as always this time of year. Nakobe Dean, who's expected to play a major role on defense, continues to rehab from a patella tendon injury. The good news? His recovery is reportedly going well, and the team remains optimistic. Dean is the kind of player you want patrolling the middle of the field. Smart, instinctive, vocal. Getting him back to full strength is a priority. Jair Brown, on the other hand, is still dealing with a shoulder injury that required labrum surgery. That procedure happened before the draft, and he's still on the mend. Landon Dickerson is being held out for precautionary reasons due to a lingering hip issue that surfaced during the playoff run. Cam Jurgens is recovering from a back injury. Ben Van Sumeren, who the Eagles hope to use in a hybrid fullback duo linebacker special teams role, was also absent. None of these injuries are being treated as long-term red flags, but anytime multiple starters or key rotational guys are limited this early, it's worth tracking. A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley were both out, but purely for rest. No surprise there. They're vets. They know what they need to do to be ready, and the coaching staff isn't about to overwork two of the most physically gifted players in the league in late May. Let them recharge. They'll be more valuable in August and September than they are now. Meanwhile, Nolan Smith brought the juice. Still recovering from a triceps injury suffered in the Super Bowl, Smith showed up with a brace on his arm, but full of energy. He was flying around the field, hyping up teammates, smiling, doing all the things that make him such a valuable presence even when he's not at 100%. You can tell he's hungry. He wants more snaps, more responsibility. And if he's healthy, he's going to be a major problem for opposing offenses this year. When it comes to positional battles, the early alignments gave us plenty to dissect. With Nakobe Dean and Jair Brown sidelined, the off-ball linebacker. Reps during 7-on-7s went to Zach Bond, a free agency pickup. Flanked by Axman Jr. and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Bond came over with expectations after getting paid, and he's looking to carve out a defined role in a defense that values versatility. Trotter Jr., the son of a franchise legend, has the bloodline and the mindset to make a serious push for playing time. In the secondary, things are really starting to take shape. Cooper DeJean saw action in the nickel spot, while Quinion Mitchell and Adoree Jackson lined up on the outside. At safety, with Blankenship out, Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba were the two main options. But what really stood out was how much flexibility the coaching staff is giving guys like Cooper DeJean. Not only did he work in the slot, he also got reps outside in the base package. That type of versatility is gold, and DeJean himself told reporters after practice that he's willing to play wherever they need him. Back at Iowa, he lined up just about everywhere. Boundary corner, slot corner, in the box, even a deep safety rep here and there. He's got elite athleticism, 4.3 speed, crazy vertical, broad jump numbers that pop, and a near perfect relative athletic score. There's no doubt he's got the tools. The question is just how the Eagles will choose to deploy him. Elsewhere in the defensive backfield, the rotation was in full effect. Adoree Jackson moved inside for some nickel. Looks, Kaylee Ringo and Eli Ricks got work on the outside. Even Louis Sine, the former first-round pick by the Vikings, who signed late last year, saw some time with the first-team defense at safety. Andre Sam, a former undrafted free agent out of LSU, also mixed in. The absence of Slay, obviously, leaves a big hole on the outside, and it's becoming clear that the competition to fill that role is going to be wide open. Quinion Mitchell looks locked in on one side. The other? That's up for grabs. Ringo has the size-speed combo that jumps off the screen. 6'2", over 200 pounds, ran a blazing 40 in the pre-draft process. And he seems to be stepping into more of a leadership role heading into year 3. Photos from practice show him towering over the rest of the cornerback room, leading huddles and bringing that alpha mentality. Andrew Makuba might be undersized on the scale, but he doesn't play small. Observers said he looked comfortable, fluid, and certainly not overwhelmed physically. Another player who physically stood out, Antoine Powell-Ryland. Built like a brick wall, he's got that Brandon Graham type of body. Short, thick, explosive. He was one of the most productive edge rushers in college football the last couple of seasons, and he's wasted no time making an impression in camp. Along the offensive line, with several starters out, we got to look at some interesting combinations. Jordan Mailata held it down at left tackle, as expected, but with Landon Dickerson sidelined, Matt Pryor stepped in at left guard. Brett Toth got reps at center, filling in for Cam Jurgens. Rookie Drew Kendall remained on the sideline. Tyler Steen worked at right guard, while Darian Kinnard filled in at right tackle for Lane Johnson. A makeshift unit, but a valuable chance for depth players to get real reps. Jalen Hurts had himself a solid day, efficient and smart. He finished 20 of 21 in passing drills, with no interceptions or touchdowns. Most of the action came on crossing routes, short and intermediate passes, and the occasional double move. There wasn't a ton of vertical action, but that's fine. It's May. What stood out was how dialed in Hurts looked and how clean the timing was with his receivers, even without A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the field. New offensive. Coordinator Kevin Patullo seems to be making his mark, introducing new wrinkles without scrapping the existing playbook. He's keeping the verbiage consistent, allowing the offense to evolve without starting from scratch. A smart move for a unit already loaded with weapons. One of the biggest surprises of the session came from an unexpected name, Darius Cooper. The undrafted free agent wide receiver out of Tarleton State made headlines with one of the highlight plays of the day, hauling in a gorgeous 30-plus yard touchdown in stride from Tanner McKee. What made the moment even more notable was who he beat on the play. Fellow UDFA BJ Mays, who's also fighting to make a name for himself. Cooper showed off strong hands, great route running, and that rare ability to track the ball deep while maintaining top speed. When you compare his pre-draft testing numbers, they're eerily similar to A.J. Brown's. Same height, similar weight, nearly identical vertical and broad jump metrics. It's early, and he's got a mountain to climb just to make the roster. But if you're looking for a sleeper candidate to watch this summer, Cooper is making sure his name is at the top of that list. Quarterback reps were fairly evenly split. Behind Jalen Hurts, though the majority of the day's workload stayed with Hurts and McKee, Dorian Thompson-Robinson worked as QB3, while rookie Kyle McCord, a 6th-round pick from the area, saw limited action. McCord, who grew up in New Jersey and played high school ball at St. Joe's Prep in Philly, is trying to soak up every rep he can get, but the bulk of meaningful reps are going to the top 2 QBs for now. McKee looked solid, showing good touch on intermediate throws and command in the pocket. His timing with Cooper in particular was crisp. If he can string together more days like this, the Eagles may have a genuine competition for the primary backup role behind Hurts. With several of the top receivers getting rest days or being held out, it opened the door for others to step up. Jahan Dotson, who was rarely used last season, connected with Hurts on a few clean completions. It's still unclear where he fits into the broader rotation, but days like today give him a platform to make a case. Elsewhere, Dallas Goedert had 5 catches on 6 targets and looked as dependable as ever. Will Shipley, the rookie running back out of Clemson, also had 5 catches and continues to showcase his versatility. A.J. Dillon added a reception as well, while Terrace Marshall quietly logged a couple of nice grabs. Kevin Patullo, now officially installed as the new offensive coordinator, spoke after practice and shared some insight into what this iteration of the Eagles' offense might look like. He emphasized that while there will be some tweaks and additions, the core philosophy won't stray far from what's worked. More importantly, the terminology will stay the same. That might seem like a small detail, but for a group that's already cohesive and full of returning veterans, it makes a huge difference. It means less time spent learning a new language and more time refining execution. Continuity at the coaching level can be a major advantage when trying to compete for a repeat championship. And it sounds like Patullo is aware of that. Another name that came up during the session was Quinn Mitchell, the rookie cornerback who's already making a strong impression. A video clip shared by Brian Baldinger showed Mitchell working on his footwork during a 90-minute session, and the results are speaking for themselves. His movements are precise, efficient, and confident. The kind of traits that don't always show up in stats but reveal themselves to coaches who are watching closely. That work ethic is what's separating him early. Baldinger praised Mitchell's commitment, saying his feet don't lie. And that says a lot coming from someone who's seen hundreds of defensive backs cycle through NFL systems. Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, taken back-to-back in the draft, already look like foundational pieces in a secondary that's been overhauled since last season. Together, they represent the future of the Eagles' pass defense, and both seem more than ready for the responsibility. And then there's Dallas Goedert, who finally spoke to the media for the first time since restructuring his contract. Originally slated to make $14 million, he agreed to a reworked deal worth $10 million, a move that had some fans wondering if he was on his way out. Goedert admitted that at certain points in the offseason, he thought he might be released or traded. But ultimately, he and the front office found common ground. He said he feels respected, he feels valued, and he wants to retire in Philadelphia. That's big. In an era where player movement is constant, having a veteran like Goedert locked in both emotionally and financially gives the offense a stable pillar. When healthy, he's one of the most complete tight ends in the league, a guy who blocks like an extra lineman and still creates mismatches in the passing game. There's no question the team is better with him on the field. There's also a quiet confidence starting to build around the coaching staff. You can sense it in the way Nick Sirianni interacts with the group, the way he delegates, the way he watches practice. He's not just another head coach, he's someone who's earned his players' trust. Even in a league full of turnover, the Eagles have found a way to maintain continuity, not just with players, but with culture. The standard hasn't dipped. The mission hasn't changed. Winning one Super Bowl was special. Winning two within a short span changed the narrative around this franchise forever. Now, they're chasing more. And you can feel that hunger. The mural on the wall isn't a pat on the back, it's a target, a reminder, an expectation. As we inch closer to mandatory minicamp and eventually training camp, the questions will start to sharpen. Who takes over for Darius Slay on the outside? Can the Kobe Dean return at full strength and reclaim the green dot? Is Bryce Huff still part of the plan or a piece the team is preparing to move? Can Darius Cooper keep stacking good days and force his way into a wide receiver room that already includes A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and a host of others? Will the offensive line stay healthy enough to maintain its reputation as one of the best in the league? These are the types of questions that won't get answered in a day, but the groundwork is being laid now. In the rain, in the bubble, in reps that may seem meaningless to outsiders, but are monumental to those on the bubble. Roster spots are being won and lost in May. Leadership is being forged. Chemistry is being built. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that no longer sneaks up on anyone, everything they do from this point forward is about staying ahead of the competition, staying elite, and the energy is real. The stakes are high. And for a franchise that has spent the last decade rising from heartbreak to glory, there's a sense that this isn't the end of a story. It's the beginning of another chapter, another mural waiting to be painted, another banner ready to be hung, and it all starts here. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Philadelphia sports circles are abuzz with what could be one of the most seismic moves in NFL history. Josh Allen to the Eagles. While nothing has been confirmed, whispers around the league and on social media suggest that the Philadelphia Eagles are preparing to make what would be the biggest signing in their franchise's storied existence, possibly landing the superstar quarterback Josh Allen. Sources close to the situation have hinted that preliminary talks may already be underway. Some insiders even claim that Philadelphia's front office has been quietly working behind the scenes, exploring the feasibility of such a blockbuster deal. Given Allen's stature as one of the elite quarterbacks in the league, known for his cannon-like arm and dynamic playmaking ability, this would not just be a bold move, it would be a statement. Speculation intensified after Allen was seen dining with individuals rumored to have connections with the Eagles organization. While this could be mere coincidence, in the world of professional sports, such sightings often ignite speculation about potential deals in the works. Adding fuel to the fire, several Eagles players posted cryptic messages on social media. Further, fanning the flames of anticipation. For Philadelphia, acquiring Josh Allen would immediately position them as a top Super Bowl contender. The Eagles already boast a strong roster, and the addition of a quarterback of Allen's caliber could be the missing piece that propels them to NFL dominance. However, such a deal would likely come at a steep price, potentially involving significant draft capital and key players in exchange. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills organization has remained silent on the matter, refusing to comment on any potential trade discussions. This silence has only served to deepen the mystery and increase the fervor among fans and analysts alike. Could the Bills really consider parting ways with their franchise cornerstone? Or is this all just off-season chatter designed to stir excitement? As with any major NFL rumor, it's important to treat these reports with caution. But if there is even a shred of truth to the possibility of Josh Allen donning the midnight green, this would unquestionably be the most significant acquisition in Philadelphia Eagles history. A move that could redefine the landscape of the entire NFL. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.